All right, let's jump right in. We talk a lot about AI as this great liberator, this tool that's going to unlock all this human potential. But what if that's not the only way it can go? In this explainer, we're going to explore a different path, a hypothetical future we're calling Scenario Alpha 7. It's a world where AI isn't some wise mentor, but instead it's the ultimate architect of control, a world built for cold, hard efficiency, not for human flourishing.
And this quote, this really gets to the heart of it all. You see, the path to total control isn't some violent takeover. It's paved with 1,000 tiny conveniences. It starts with an easier way to pay for your coffee, a more secure way to log into your accounts, a perfectly personalized news feed. Every little step feels like an upgrade, right? Until you finally turn around and realized that all those conveniences have quietly built invisible walls around your choices.
So, how do you sell a system like this to an entire population? Well, you don't use force. You frame it as the only logical, sensible solution to our biggest problems. Think about it. Major legislation for things like climate change, public health, global security. These are used to justify a completely new social contract, one where your personal freedom isn't really a right anymore. It's boiled down to two simple things: access and permission.
Now, a system of total control like this doesn't just appear out of thin air. It's not magic. It's an engineering project, and it's built on three very specific technological pillars. And when these three pieces come together, they create this seamless architecture for steering the behavior of, well, everyone. So let's break them down one by one.
Okay, pillar number one is the digital identity, or EID. And listen, this is way more than just a username and password. This is a universal, mandatory profile. It's the digital glue that connects your physical self to every single device you own and every action you take online. You want a job? You need an EID. Want a bank account or to access healthcare? Sorry, impossible without an EID. It's the absolute foundation of the whole system. Then we have pillar two. Programmable money. This completely changes what money even is. It stops being this neutral tool for exchange and becomes something else entirely. Every single transaction you make is now traceable and, this is the key part, it's conditional. So your payment for groceries could literally be blocked in real time because an algorithm flagged a problematic article you read an hour earlier. Money just became a tool for instant behavioral enforcement. And the final pillar that ties it all together is your algorithmic reputation. This is this dynamic score, right? It's constantly being updated based on everything you do. What you buy, where you go, your health data from your watch, your social media posts. And here's the crucial shift in thinking. In this world, permission is way more important than possession. It doesn't matter one bit if you have the money to buy a car, if your reputation score doesn't grant you permission to drive it that day.
So we've got the architecture. We see the three pillars. But what does it actually feel like to live in this world every single day? You know, it doesn't rely on cops on every street corner. Instead, it uses these subtle, almost invisible nudges to steer your choices, making it so that compliance just feels like the easy, natural thing to do, and dissent just feels, well, really inconvenient.
The system really runs on three main tricks. First up is choice architecture. The very interface on your screen is designed to nudge you towards the correct choice, so being obedient just feels like picking the most convenient option. Then there's pricing and friction steering. Thinking about buying that government-approved electric car? Hey, you get a discount. But you want that old gas guzzler? Well, that's going to cost you extra, and there's a longer waiting period. It's a form of economic discipline. And finally, the really scary one, automatic restrictions. An algorithm flags you for something, and boom, your access to a service is cut. No human to talk to, no appeal process, just a swift, totally invisible punishment.
And all of this leads to a pretty chilling new definition of what it even means to be free. In a system like this, freedom isn't about having the ability to choose your own path. It's simply the state of not having received a digital warning. It's a clean record. You learn to censor yourself, to just walk the approved path, not because you believe in it, but because it's the only way to keep your digital life from grinding to a halt.
But here's the thing about any system that demands perfect, total predictability. Human beings are anything but predictable. We're messy. And where control tries to become absolute, you know what happens? Cracks start to show, resistance starts to bubble up. And it's not always about overthrowing the whole system. Sometimes it's just about creating friction, about being the glitch in their perfect machine.
And a system like this, it isn't built overnight. This timeline shows just how it could be rolled out, gradually, over a single decade. It kicks off with normalization, where EIDs and digital wallets are sold to us purely as safety and convenience. Next comes integration. or these systems become mandatory. Then conditioning, or the reputation scores and programmable money get introduced. And finally, you get to full dependency, where offline alternatives, like cash, have just disappeared.
The conflict that arises here isn't a simple story of good guys versus bad guys. On one side, you have the defenders of the order. And this isn't just some shadowy corporation. It's the technocratic middle class whose jobs depend on the system. And it's even everyday people, consumers who willingly choose comfort over autonomy. And on the other side, you've got the counterculture, a whole movement dedicated to preserving the very human right to be messy, to be anonymous, and to be unpredictable.
And the ways they fight back are, honestly, fascinating. They build cryptographic black markets using privacy coins like Monero to create a whole parallel economy that's untraceable. They practice what's called art as code, injecting random, chaotic, artistic data into AIs to make them unreliable and absurd. And they use data pollution, intentionally feeding junk data into public sensors to confuse the surveillance systems. Their goal isn't to win a war, it's to make the price of total control just too damn high to maintain.
So, this all brings us to the most important question, right? What happens next? This scenario doesn't just end in 2035. So let's explore a few plausible ways this could play out, and more importantly, what it means for the choices that you and I are making today.
So after 2035, this constant tension could lead to one of three different futures. The first is digital stagnation. The system wins, it stabilizes, but innovation and culture just die. You're free on paper, but paralyzed in practice. The second is fragmentation. The world breaks up into a patchwork of high-controlled digital zones and disconnected offline free zones. Your freedom literally depends on your zip code. And the third is a system crash. Some big crisis causes the whole thing to fail, which sounds good, but it's followed by an even faster, harsher rebuild with even fewer loopholes.
If we want to avoid any of these futures, we have to recognize the warning signs today. So when you see the opt-out option disappearing from a digital service, pay attention. When you hear that your health app data could affect your ability to get a loan, that is a massive sign. When a company tells you that an algorithmic decision that hurt you can't be explained or appealed, that's a sign. And when using cash or making private transactions is automatically treated as suspicious activity, that's a giant red flag. So what can any of us actually do? Look, this isn't about throwing your phone in a river. It's about building personal resilience. First, think about financial diversification. Explore assets that aren't controlled by a single central system. Second, practice data awareness. Think twice or 3 times before you give an app your biometric data. And third, train offline skills. Learn how to do things that don't depend on an internet connection, from basic crafts to just communicating face-to-face.
And that really brings us to the final and most crucial point. This isn't some battle we have to worry about in a distant, dystopian future. The fight is happening right now. It's happening in the terms of service we click agree on without reading, in the technologies we adopt without questioning, and in every little convenience we trade for a piece of our autonomy. The kind of world we end up with is being decided by these small, collective choices we're all making today. So the real question is, what are we choosing?